Just moments ago, sirens blaring in northern Israel after multiple missile launches from Iran. Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv, Israel, for us now live. Trey.
Yeah, John, this is breaking news. The Iranian regime has launched a large missile attack at Israel. There are currently missiles in the skies of this country. We just saw one soaring toward the northern city of Haifa from our position here in Tel Aviv. The Iranians say they are responding because of the Israeli strikes that took place earlier today against the Lebanese capital of Beirut, specifically in the Dakhya neighborhood. And that followed Hezbollah strikes on northern Israel. I'm speaking now with regional intelligence sources who say they believe the Iranians feel that they are confident there will not be a U.S. or Israeli response to this missile fire. But regional sources tell Fox News, John, they expect a harsh response to this ongoing missile attack that is currently taking place. And I'm just looking down at my phone right now to get a sense of where these missiles are soaring. And there are alerts going off really across the entirety of northern Israel. Remember, Haifa is Israel's third largest city. And right now, the entirety of the population of northern Israel is in bomb shelters at this moment as Iran launches a significant ballistic missile attack against this country. Remember, this is what the Israeli people were dealing with during Operation Epic Fury for 40 straight days. The incoming Iranian missiles, along with those cluster munitions. The initial wave that occurred tonight, John, was 4 ballistic missiles. Israeli officials telling Fox News all of those missiles were shot down. But then moments later, early alerts went out on phones across this country, telling people that there were more incoming missiles toward the northern part of Israel. I do want to just read a quick update here that we are getting from our producing team in Tel Aviv, John. A source to Fox News has indicated that schools across the country of Israel will be canceled tomorrow. And the IDF currently is telling civilians here to listen closely to updates that are expected to come in the minutes and hours ahead about the ongoing missile attack that is currently taking place. But again, John, Fox News can report at this hour there is an ongoing Iranian missile attack against Israel that is currently targeting the northern part of this country. Iranian officials, including a top parliament member earlier today, threatened to target Israel in response to the strikes against Beirut earlier today. There was also a statement from Iran's top negotiator, Mohammad Khalibaf, the parliament speaker, who tied the situation in Lebanon to the ongoing efforts to reach a broader agreement between the United States and Iran. Again, sources telling Fox News they do believe there will be a response to this ongoing missile attack. And again, as we speak right now, there are more and more alerts coming in to Hadera. This is much closer to Tel Aviv. And so these alerts, I'm confirming with my team here, are starting to make their way south to the outskirts of Tel Aviv, an indication that there is a widespread ongoing Iranian ballistic missile attack against this country. John?
That suggests that the U.S. and Israeli efforts to take out the ballistic missile systems and launchers has not yet been entirely successful, Trey.
Exactly. The Iranians still have a ballistic missile supply, despite the fact that they were hit hard during Operation Epic Fury. And our team here, just as we are reporting off in the distance, could see 4 incoming Iranian ballistic missiles. We're going to stay here for the moment, John. Again, there are no alerts in Tel Aviv right now. But before we started, we could see one of those missiles soaring through the sky, headed toward the city of Haifa. But those alerts that are coming in right now are even near to the city of Hadera, which is south of Haifa, north of Tel Aviv. I'm told by my producer, Yonat Freeling, right now, that there is a third round of missiles expected to trigger sirens here in Israel in a matter of minutes. Again, this is taking place, according to the Iranians, in response. And we are getting a statement right now, John, from Iran's IRGC that says the Israeli army must stop its attacks on Lebanon. And if it expands its attacks or responds to Iran's actions, quote, it will face more crushing and regretful blows. Again, that statement coming from Iran's IRGC. Iranian state media, John, right now says the initial reports of a second wave of missiles towards Israel have been announced. And again, this is Iranian state media, and it gives you a sense of the real-time updates that those who are watching in Iran are getting about the situation right now. And the alerts are nonstop, John, across, again, in Haifa, that northern Israeli city, a population of hundreds of thousands of people, and the surrounding area more than 1 million. this is a significant attack against the state of Israel. And again, sources telling Fox News they do believe there will be a response to the ongoing missile fire that is taking place. We are getting another update from a regional intelligence source speaking to Fox News. And I keep looking down here, John. We are getting this information in real time. A regional intelligence official tells Fox News the Iranians believe that Trump does not have the will to fight. This intelligence official says they are, quote, gambling on him, wanting to end this war at all costs. And again, the official goes on to say this is why they are doing it. And so, again, they believe that the Iranians are making a calculation here by launching this ballistic missile attack against Israel in response to the strikes that took place against the Dakhia neighborhood of southern Beirut earlier today, a Hezbollah stronghold. But remember what we have seen throughout the weekend. We're just going to go back a couple days here in the timeline, John, of what's taken place. The Iranians have been very bold in their actions. They have been targeting America's Gulf allies, including Bahrain and Kuwait. Remember, over the weekend, it was Friday evening when, according to U.S. Central Command, 4 Iranian one-way attack drones were launched toward the Strait of Hormuz. The United States responded with strikes, and we brought you that video earlier against Goruk, Iran, that sits along the coast, and also Iran's Keshem Island. And the U.S. forces, according to CENTCOM, were going after radar systems there. In response to those strikes, the Iranians fired again toward U.S. forces in Kuwait. And according to CENTCOM, 6 of those missiles were shot down. But we saw last week when the Iranians used missiles and drones toward Kuwait's international airport, the massive amount of damage and destruction that can be caused as a result of these Iranian projectiles. And again, we're getting just new information because this is a developing story. We are told, according to regional reports, that President Trump has been updated on the ongoing events that are taking place. Remember, President Trump has been trying to give the Iranians an off-ramp in this conflict. There is still a massive force buildup across the Middle East that includes more than 50,000 U.S. forces, along with destroyers and U.S. aircraft carriers. And we know the refuelers and cargo planes that remain here in Israel. Just a few days ago, I was on the train from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and we went past Israel's Ben Gurion airport, and there were dozens of U.S. refuelers there in preparation for in case President Trump decides to order additional strikes against the Iranian regime. But again, John, what we can confirm at this moment, there is an ongoing Iranian ballistic missile attack against Israel, and the region waits to see how the United States and Israel will respond. John?
It'll be fascinating to see if the Iranians have underestimated the president's resolve on this. Trey Yingst doing a fantastic job. Trey, thank you. We will continue to check in with Trey as the situation develops there.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.